If you're an aspiring video producer, music creator, or streamer, you might want to keep the Beyerdynamic DT 990 Pros on your radar. Here's everything you need to know about them in 5 minutes. First, these are a content creation machine, not necessarily for casual listening. By that I mean, these are not made for music listening at first. You may see a lot of people fetch and moan about how they sound a little bit different than their high-end headphones, but that's intentional. There's a bump in the 120 Hz range and an emphasis up from 2 to 6 kHz. This is meant to help content creators identify really annoying sounds in their mix in either vocals or atmospheric effects. Once you hear these things, it's a lot easier to tone them down and make the mix sound good. Additionally, these are quite a lot larger than your normal headphones. With this giant ear pad right here, it can encircle most of your ear, if not all of it, even if you have a larger head size. Beyerdynamic did themselves a huge favor by making all of their ear pads interchangeable, from the DT 770 Pros to the 880 Pros to the 990 Pros. If you find one that fits on one, it will fit on the rest. The velour padding is also a huge boon to anybody who wears glasses, because it means that they won't catch on the leatherette. Your arms will just slide through. The larger ear cups are very, very good because they allow your ears not to be compressed. We use our outer ears to determine spatial cues, like where a sound is coming from. And it's very important in mixes and games and movies to be able to understand what's happening around you. If you have headphones that push your outer ears in too much, you might lose some of these spatial cues and your audio quality will sound off to you. That's why having such a deep ear cup is important, because it lets your ears breathe and it lets them work how they're supposed to. Now, if you're mixing content or creating anything, you're going to be wearing headphones for hours at a time. That's why the velour coating to a somewhat firm padding is important. Additionally, the thicker padding at the top of the band and the relative light weight mean that this isn't going to dig into your skull unless you really torque it down. By the way, don't do that. Additionally, every part of this headphone can be replaced, from the padding to the band, to the yokes, to the drivers, to the pads. All of this, if you break something, you can fix it. It'll cost you a little bit, but it's worth it if you are used to having a professional tool for your job. Now, these are open-backed headphones. They're not going to block any noise from the outside world, and you should hear everything that's going on around you. And if you're streaming, you have to pay attention not to make the levels too high, otherwise they'll get picked up on your mic. These are not monitoring headphones. That honor would belong to the Beyerdynamic DT 770 Pros that Harley is wearing right now, right in front of me, because those are closed back and they won't leak any sound. These are mixing headphones, not monitoring headphones. Now, the big advantage of these headphones is that you can use them at work or home. And I say that because these are very easy to equalize. Remember those two ranges that I talked about earlier? By using a parametric equalizer, you can make pretty broad cuts to make your sound a lot better for music consumption. Now, these are somewhat higher impedance, so you might find that your computer may not be able to get you a usable level right out of the box, but that's really okay. It doesn't take a lot of juice to get these cans up to where they're supposed to be, so an interface like the Scarlett 2i2 or even a cheap headphone amp should be able to handle the job. Now, as these are considered audiophile headphones, you might expect them to be quite expensive, but the truth is that these hover between $150 and $200 depending upon where you live. These are an excellent buy. And sure, they may not be as cheap as the Sony MDR 7506, but they are much higher performers and they are much better at the task that they're given because, well, these are mixing headphones, they're not monitoring headphones. Big difference. It's no surprise that forms of this headphone have been around since 1988. I mean, why mess with a good thing, right?
Hey guys, really quickly, before this video ends, I just want to address one more question, which is, how does the Beyerdynamic DT 990 Pro compare to the newer DT 900 Pro X? Well, seeing these are the newer version, the DT900 Pro X offers a few improvements over its predecessor, including a more comfortable build, lower impedance, meaning that you won't need an amp to use these headphones, and according to our lab measurements, the DT900 Pro X also better lines up with our preference curve for studio headphones. But that's enough from me. Let's throw it back to Chris to end the video. Take it away.
All right, and if I'm not mistaken, that's 5 minutes. Thank you for joining us here today on SoundGuys, and happy listening.